All
right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Pastor Casey Church here in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Good Medicine Way. And we are into a new year here, 2025. Can you believe it? I've been here in Albuquerque now 25 years. Came here in 2000. So lots of things have taken place over these 25 years. Became a empty nester. All my kids are out and about now. But we're in an exciting time here. I want to say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, whatever else comes up there. Solstice.
Yeah. Well, today's Epiphany.
Epiphany, yes. We got all of these things that we're happy for and announcing. I just want to let you know, I'm glad you're sticking with us. We are in a good transition time right now. And if you haven't heard, we are officially under the United Methodist Church's group ruling as a 501c3. So that is part of where we're at now. So we officially can give the people that want to get tax credit for their gifts, and we can ask people more and they're more comfortable giving. So that too, plus we still have our matching grant that's still out there, so every gift that is given is doubled. And we were blessed over this holiday here. Two different people gave, one person gave 1,000 and another person gave 500. And I was able to write them back and say, thank you for that, and let you know that it was doubled. And they're really blessed. So those are what we got to look forward to. Going through some changes here. I just wanted to get some announcements out of the way. We're looking to bring somebody on to help Brian with the technology here as a mentor, apprentice to learn this program that he's doing here. And also we've been in the search, the hunt here for a treasurer. Laura's going to be stepping down, but we'll still be kind of like the CFO. She'll be looking after and watching things and making sure they're going well. But she's studying now really hard for the New Mexico State Bar exam to become a lawyer. So keep her in your prayers. I can imagine, I've been watching her study. I could never do that. I don't know how I did my doctorate, but somehow it happened. But mine was all writing and philosophizing and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to open with all of that exciting stuff that's happening now. And I want to turn it over to Petadaka now, who's going to do our opening prayer. Kelsey?
All right, thank you, Uncle. Coming to you from the land of the Cheyenne and Arapaho in El Reno, Oklahoma. So it's really great to see everybody here tonight. I'll just go ahead and share this Four Directions prayer that comes from our brother Eshe, one of his original rights, I believe. But yeah, so I won't be able to really move a whole lot because I'm inside of a Starbucks right now. But yeah, but yes, so I'll just go ahead and point to the directions if that's all right. All right. So if you all will stand, if you can, or sit in your chair and start to face the east, as we start many of our prayers in the east where the sun rises. Light bearer, we now face the east. We thank you for a new day and a new beginning. We thank you for fire, which gives us warmth, light, and protection. We ask that whatever parts of our being need light, that you would shine your life-giving spirit on us, just as Father's Son shines his life-giving light on Mother Earth each new day. Bring light and wisdom to our lives' journeys, so we may not walk in darkness. Life-giving spirit, we now face the south. We thank you for the gift and healing and of healing and adaptability. We thank you for the waters of life which nourish our beings. We ask that you would show us how to be fluid like water, so that when new or difficult situations arise, we may navigate them in a good way. Bring abundance to our lives, so we may channel your abundance to the nations around us. Great healer, we now face the west. We thank you for the light or the night as well as the day. We thank you for bringing the light, bringing to light what would have otherwise remained in darkness. And also thank you for the challenges of life that increase our dependence on the light. We ask that whatever arises that is negative, that you would give us clarity to know how to end cycles that don't serve the community of creation or you. Bring rest to our spirits and resolutions to the cycles we encounter, just as our relatives rest when the sun sets each new day. Rescuing spirit, we now face the north. We thank you for the spirit of the wind, which breathes life into all of us moment by moment. We thank life. We thank your life-giving breath for resurrecting what was dead. We ask that our minds and hearts will be nourished and kept well. We ask for good thoughts and for protection from the crooked ways of coyote, and also ask for a blessing and guidance to those we perceive as enemies. Bring your protection and purifying presence to revive what needs healing and new life, just as the winds blow the dead leaves from the trees, so new leaves may grow in their place. Spirit which comes to us from Grandmother Earth, we thank you for supporting and feeding us throughout our lives. It is said that when we separate from the womb of our human mother, you take the place as nourisher, as our mother, the earth. We ask that whatever creator you would have us do with our hands and feet to usher in new creation in the present creation for all our relatives, that we would hear and respond to your voice. We ask you to help us and take pity on us as human beings, so we may use the gifts you provide us in a good way in order to bring more life into the world. Spirit which comes to us from Father Sky, we thank you for the blessings of life creator, and we thank you for being near us and speaking with us moment by moment. Remind us of our, remind us of our, remind us of your path, or of your favor when we grow weak. Communicate to us with your love and grow our hearts soft, so we may be like a hollow bone that is clear. And Nahane, let it be so. All right, Uncle, back to you.
All right, we're going to go to our opening song. And if you don't have a rattle yet, you can grab one. And if you have a hand drum, you can put yourself on mute and then follow along. So that we do that so that you don't interrupt the live stream here. But and then also.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you have your mics live, there'll be delays.
You'll be one half second behind us.
Way
right, we're going to go into, let's wait a minute here. And we're going to go into our Lord's Prayer right now. And then right directly into that, we'll go into our smoke signals and our giveaway time.
All right. Creator sets free, shows us how to pray. O great Spirit, our Father from above, we honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways in the spirit world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice. All the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we have done wrong. In the same way we release others who have done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so.
Very good. All right, well, smoke signals, I want to start off tomorrow night. We're going to be starting on this book, and I believe, is it Monique? I think she's going to be joining us. I think you're the one. But different ones. If you go to the Good Medicine Way Facebook page, there'll be a link there to take you to the book group. And that'll bring you into a Zoom so that you can join in the conversation as we talk over this book, Randy and Edith Woodley's Journey to Elohe. It's their combined life story of where they've come from and where they've gotten to up there in Oregon now. Known Brandy for 20-some years now. Their kids grew up together. He's been a brother in ministry, and we've worked a lot. But this book, we're going to go through the introduction and chapter 1. And we may not get through the whole thing because it brings out topics that we'll talk about during that time, and people sharing in our group, not just reading it, but pondering it and expounding on it in our personal relationships. So that's going to be happening tomorrow night, 6:30, Mountain Time. Make sure I throw that in there. Mountain Time. I want to remind everybody too, so we get ready to do our offering in a bit here, is that we do have a matching grant. So every little bit that you're able to give is doubled. And I just mentioned to folks at the beginning here that we were given 2 significant gifts by some individuals, and I was able to let them know that, of the matching grant, and that they were just overjoyed for that too, that happened. Tonight we're going to have a speaker that I met during a meeting that I went to up in, I've known him for a little while, but we got a little more time to be together up there in Alaska. BJ, he's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. He's going to be sharing up with us later. Next week we're going to have Julia Judd. She's a pastor from Oklahoma. She's going to be sharing with us. Jerry Devine after that, and then Todd Sela is going to be down. I've already scheduled out 3 months now. I've talked to a lot of people over the last couple of days, getting people on board here. So that's what's happening. On the 9th, I don't have it in even my calendar, we're going to have the time when we give out the food bags to the students at SIPI. And my friend here, she's not here right now, but Nikki usually helps me, and we'll be there and we'll talk to the students there because we hope to start some good ministry there at SIPI. And let's see, other than that, we don't have any bigger events planned, but we did end 2024 with a lot of activity, with a concert tour with W. Jeff, it was just too much going on there. but we were able to do it. We were able to help out the committee there with WHF and make it all happen right here in this facility here with 150 different Native students from ministries and colleges across the country came here in our facility here, and it was just powerful. And we ended up with a big concert at the end here. So with that, we'll turn it over and we'll do our giveaway time. And people know, I'll give it to Brian right now. He'll tell you about the QR code and the different ways that you can give. And also know that we are a 501c3, tax exempt, so your gifts also you can give more. And know that you'll be able to give tax credit at the end. So we do have people there that have resources and they like to fund ministries like ours. So let them know about that. So Brian?
Yeah, so in-house here, we have a blanket on the ground because that's traditionally the ways giveaways are done in most Native communities. And so up on the screen, we're going to put our blanket up on the screen that has a QR code that you can scan, and that'll take you to a PayPal interface where you can give online. You don't have to be part of PayPal. You can just use any kind of credit card or debit card there. If you don't like giving online that way, our address will be on the bottom of that as well, which is 3301 South Coors Boulevard Northwest, Suite R349, Albuquerque, New Mexico 87120. And that link to the PayPal site and that address is also pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can get the information there as well. Let me put the blanket up, and then we're going to be doing a song during the giveaway time, which is a song that you'll probably recognize, but we're going to be doing it in a way that you probably won't recognize. So we'll get that going. Yeah, and if you're in-house, you have the words there. And you may know the words to this song at home too, so we'll see.
To everything of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of hate, a time for peace. I pray it's not too late. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Turn, 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 hey ya, way ya, hey. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, hey ya, way ya.
Yeah, that comes from a long way back here. It's a good song. Let's turn it over here to Auntie Donna Anderson. She's going to be reading our scripture today. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 13.
Hello,
Donna?
everyone. I'm going to be reading this from the Ryrie Study Bible, New American Standard Version. There is an appointed time for everything, and there's a time for every event under heaven, a time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to shun embracing, a time to search and a time to give up as lost, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear apart and a time to sew together, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What profit is there to the worker from that in which he toils? I've seen the task which God's given the sons of men with which to occupy themselves. He's made everything appropriate in its time. He's also set eternity in their heart, yet so that man will not find out the work which God has done from the beginning even to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and to do good in one's lifetime. Moreover, that every man who eats and drinks sees good in all his labor. It is the gift of God. I hope.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll turn it over to Brian with our stuttering stillness time here, and then after that, I'll introduce our speaker. Thank you. Our speaker tonight, BJ Ash. He's from Manistee, Michigan, way up north, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we're kind of kidding around. He talks a little bit of Yooper, they call. And for me, since I'm in lower Michigan, they call us, because I'm lower than the bridge, called under the bridge, I'm called a troll. So kind of a funny thing they do up there in Michigan. But he's a pastor up there in Thompson, Michigan, with Manistee First United Methodist Church. And we got a chance to be together and got to get to know each other a little better. We took the same class with the United Methodist Course of Study when I was up there in Alaska. And then we finished that class now, and I hope we passed. So that's looking good. But I want to turn it over and let BJ introduce himself a little bit more, maybe his family. And I think I think you're on a rescue crew, aren't you, up there? And too? Yeah, tell us about that. BJ.
First, I'll get started here with my introduction. I'll greet you in my native language, Ojibwe. Bonjour, Nijo Aniquat, Inini Indigenous, Gize and Dodam, Manistee, Michigan, and Donjiba. I greeted you in Ojibwe, introducing myself as Two Clouds Man. My clan is Eagle, and the place that I live is Manistee, Michigan. When Casey had asked me to speak here, he said it's really no big deal. It's a 45, 50-minute sermon. And I said, sure, Casey, I'd love to be a PhD candidate. But honestly, that is not how I preach. You're going to get maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes out of me if you're lucky. I've only given one sermon that's been even close to 30 minutes. That was my own, and I said I'd never do it again. So what you're going to get, my message tonight, I'll give it to you in two parts. The first would be the typical white man sermon, and then you'll get the native perspective on it. So we heard our reading from Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. Those are the words of the preacher in the book of Ecclesiastes. Since we are worshiping on the first Monday in the year of 2025, this is a time for new beginnings, a time to say goodbye to the past year and to welcome the new one. Life is seasonal. It is constantly changing from one extreme to the other. Love and hate, war and peace, or birth and death. No matter how hard we try to keep things the same, we can't avoid the fact that the pendulum of life is constantly swinging. The ebb and flow of the tides remind us that life is much the same. We are powerless to control the movement of the tides, just as we are powerless to control the weather or the changing seasons. All we can do is adapt to the changing times. That being said, we still have the freedom to make choices. I think about a coastal beach that was ravaged after a hurricane had come through the area. The beach was in the process of being restored by the people that lived in the area. On top of that, over the years, the ocean had eroded much of the sand from the beach, and the state was spending millions of dollars to pay a contractor to pump sand from the ocean back to the beaches. If you have ever seen this done, you may find yourself watching as huge machines move sand back to the beach. It's a costly adventure, but essential, since areas such as these depend on the beaches for the economy. We can't change the seasons of life, but we can make decisions that will affect how we live in those seasons. The beginning of a new year provides an opportunity for us to start over. Our daily lives include many chores, things like taking out the trash, which we do at approximately the same time every week. This is the perfect time to throw out the trash in our lives. Perhaps you need to let go of some grudge against another person. Perhaps you're harboring guilt feelings for some mistake that was made in the past year. The good news is that God forgives us and wants us to begin our lives anew. It's also the perfect time to rid our lives of those things that take up space. The preacher in Ecclesiastes wants us to be happy, to enjoy ourselves as long as we live. I believe happiness is possible when we resolve to let go of those things that hold us back. Letting go is not easy. However, we can replace those things in our lives that can enable us to move forward. Being more adventurous, learning new skills, or associating with positive people can help improve our lives. To achieve that happiness, we oftentimes make resolutions, which create a sense of accountability and personal goals. The beginning of a new year provides an opportunity to be more spiritual. Do you take time to pray on a daily basis? Are you setting aside time for meditation and reflection? Are you expanding your horizons and taking advantage of opportunities? I'd like to share a story with you from the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. In his book, he tells about the small town of Rosetta, Pennsylvania. You see, in Rosetta, there was no suicide. There was no alcoholism, no drug addiction, and very little crime, and no one was on welfare. A man by the name of Stuart Wolf decided to investigate along with a research team from the University of Oklahoma. They discovered that no one under the age of 50 had ever died of a heart attack. For men over the age of 65, the rate of heart disease was less than half of the rate of the rest of the US. But their research indicated that the people of Rosetta did not eat differently than anyone else. Their smoking and drinking habits were also about the same as the rest of the nation. They researched their ancestry, but could find nothing that contributed to the well-being of the people of Rosetta. After weeks of study, Wolf and his associates discovered that there were some unique characteristics which enabled the town of Rosetta to be a wonderful place to live. You see, they found that the townspeople of Rosetta visited with one another. When they passed people on the street, they took time to chat. They often cooked for each other in their backyards. Many homes had 3 generations living under the same roof. Grandparents were highly respected in their town. Everyone went to worship, which gave the people of Rosetta a unifying and calming effect. It was also a philanthropic equality, which discouraged the wealthy from flaunting their success, and those who were unsuccessful were helped with their failures. The Rosettans were healthy because they had a sense of community. They looked beyond the individual. In other words, the people of Rosetta made a conscious decision to care for one another and make worship a central part of their lives. This is the season to make decisions that will enhance our spiritual well-being. There's a time for endings and a time for new beginnings. There is a time for retreat and a time for adventure. The seasons of our lives can be more fulfilling, and we will lead happier lives when we remember the words of the preacher in Ecclesiastes. Like the people who live on a beach who are constantly challenged by the sea, we too can make decisions that will improve our communities. Like the people of Rosetta, our lives will be enriched when we truly care about one another and we make worship an essential weekly season of our lives. Now, for those that visit a traditional church, that sounds like a traditional preacher sermon, and you'd be right. That's the white man side of me. Now, the native side of me. My message tonight is entitled Nmino-Bimaadiziwin, and it's an Anishinaabe word in the Ojibwe language that translates to a good life or a good path. It is a philosophical concept that is central to the Anishinaabe and also the Cree worldviews. The word is made up of 2 parts, Nmino, which means good, and Bimaadiziwin, which means life. The concept of Nmino-Bimaadiziwin is collective, meaning that it is not attributed to just an individual. Instead, it is understood that well-being is dependent on the collective well-being of the community. It represents a collective sense of well-being that includes looking out for one another, being in good relationships with each other, and doing things in a Anishinaabe way. We look to different ways how we can indigenize things in our day-to-day life. It becomes a part of how we live day to day. And what better way to live than to be responsive to the places and the languages from the land that you're living on. It becomes normalized. It becomes a part of your everyday existence. It becomes part of our minds, and it hopefully becomes part of our spirit and our hearts too. Speaking from the heart is a concept that's known throughout the world. But speaking from the heart in indigenous languages connects us in really important ways and connects us to the land and the waters. There's an eternal law for the Anishinaabe that's been passed down from our ancestors, and it's never been subject to the laws of change. I'm talking about the seven grandfathers' teachings. They show us how to lead a life of peace, a life of balance, a life without conflict with our relatives or the environment that we live in, a life without contradiction where we say one thing and then do another. They show us how to lead a holistic life, a holy life, a good life, being in balance. We look to the source of where all good things come from. Looking at these teachings, we look at humility. And humility is a low thinking of oneself. You don't think of yourself first. I do not exalt myself above all of my relatives. All of my relatives are me. They make up who I am. So they are greater as a sum than my individual self could ever be by itself. Why would I think that I am more important than my relatives? We look at respect. Respect in the English language is defined as a submission to authority. But we as Anishinaabe, we look at it differently. We look at it as going easy on. We go easy on the environment. We only take what we need to clothe ourselves, to feed ourselves, to heal ourselves. It is a gift that we are given. So don't take more than what we are given. And it is a gift. Then we leave the rest behind for the next person or creature who will need it. We can also do this to one another as human beings. Go easy on all your relatives. Acknowledge the sacredness of the connection that you have with your relatives and each other's lives. A love that shows that there is nothing that you can do to make me stop loving you. We know that within the United Methodist Church as being grace. That kind of love can transform your heart, the very center of your being. Next teaching we look at is being courageous or brave, being of strong heart. There'll be times along our path that we need the strength of heart to be humble, to show the respect that is needed at a time in our lives, to be of strong heart to make the right decisions. It's not about what I say, it's about what I do. It's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk. It's about being in alignment. If I am honest, you will see that in my life. That leads us to truth. To speak the truth, to come from the heart, the core of my very being. I will add nothing that wasn't there, and I will take away nothing. I will not failure to mention any part of it. So humility, respect, love, strength of heart, virtue, righteousness, honesty. If I can live these teaching in my life, then I am intelligent, I am wise, which leads us to wisdom. If I look at wisdom, I look at every single action that I do, I question, will it be beneficial for 7 generations to come? I look backwards to the 7 generations of wisdom that came before me that make up my existence. Me living my life in a good way, it benefits everyone around me as well as myself. So I'll start by asking the questions. How do you walk in balance with creation? How do you walk in balance with the 2-leggeds and the 4-leggeds? How do you walk in balance with our Creator? I think about my life. I think about the lives of my family members. I think about the lives of people I know in community. And I think about how we go about our daily lives. I think about the different responsibilities we have. Casey had mentioned this before that I do some rescue stuff. I actually serve as a firefighter. I serve as a fire chief of a fire department. That's one way of serving community. I serve as a pastor of a church. I serve in various chaplain ministries in our community outside of the walls of the church, to our other fire departments, to our sheriff's department, to hospice agencies in our town. I think about other community responsibilities that I have that I volunteer in. I think about my family members, how they serve our community. How do we balance each other out? How do we balance our community out? How do we build each other up to build that community so that we're like that town in Pennsylvania, that Rosetta town? I started out by saying I'd give you a white man sermons first, where I mentioned that town. A lot of the values in that sermon are actually pretty native. Go back to my name, Two Clouds Man. I exist in 2 different realms. I exist in my native side and I exist in my white man side. But together I'm one, and I'm better because I'm both. I understand both worlds that I live in. And as my profile picture gave it away, I serve a very white church. Yes, I have native humor too. And a pastor can laugh and crack jokes. So that is the balance that we live in. So, as is very traditional in native circles, I'd like to open it up for discussion. And I'm not sure if we have this later, Casey, as Q&A, but I'd be willing to open it up right now if you think that'd be appropriate, or if you want a time of centering with some flute music after this. Before we go into that, that'd be fine with me as well. What do you
Yes,
think would be best?
yes, we'll do that. We'll do that, centering, reflection time, and then we'll go into Q&R.
Okay.
Right. Brian will moderate this time. Brian?
Yep. So the floor is open. In-house and online. Okay, go ahead, Twyla.
I would just like to say thank you for that beautiful reminder that we all probably are living in two worlds, not necessarily Native American and white, but our home and our service to God. And that we have to bring those together and let them be unified so that we can be complete. And that's what I got out of your message. That was very, very spiritual for me. Thank you.
It's okay. We're done.
You're certainly welcome. It is a privilege and honor to be able to speak here, and thank you for inviting me in. Thank you, Casey. I'm also reminded by a passage from Scripture that we are not of this world. Our kingdom, we know where our kingdom comes from, and it belongs to God. That is our eternal place. We're just here temporarily.
I'll step in with a question here or response. Yeah, VJ, I know you live in an area there. What kind of connection do you have there more with the Native people in the community? Because you said you're in a white church. I was also talking with Vicky, who was also at our clap. She asked her to be a speaker, and she was really hesitant because she does speak in a white church. And I asked her to be on our program, and we've gone back and forth about how to go about that because she didn't feel comfortable being a speaker with Good Medicine Way because she says like she couldn't really relate. How do you relate to the people in your community?
So my connection to the land, I'm in my native ancestral lands here. This is actually our summer area that I live in. Um, Outside my window, I overlook an inland lake called Indian Lake that I live on. And there was a Anishinaabe presence here during the summer. They had cabins on the east side of the lake. Um, I was not born on a reservation. I was not really born with a lot of native exposure. Um, there was a tribal center in our area that did arts and crafts and that type of stuff when I grew up, and I got to go there to experience that. Had a summer camp once or twice where I could spend a couple days, get some native exposure. I knew I was native as far as my ancestry goes, but I didn't know what that meant. So in a lot of ways of getting my calling into pastoral ministry and that, I discovered, as Casey had mentioned, our course of study is the Native American course of study. And really through that, I've been learning so much more about my tribal ancestry and just being what native is to me. Like I mentioned before, I serve a white church. Um, the closest native church, I guess, by definition, would be a couple hours away from me, not in my tribal area. Um, it would be a different connection for me. It would just be different for me. So at this point, I mean, I have a connection to there's a reservation in my area in the town that I live in here, a set aside land that does belong to my tribe. Um, I try to be as involved as I can with that, with connected with the people that live on there, as well as involved with my local tribal center. I'm on my path to healing on that for recovering my identity for who I am. I think we're all on that journey and on some point or another. I mean, none of us have grown up 100% native with only 100% native exposure. Um, it's just something that doesn't exist in our world anymore. So we're all kind of reclaiming our identity. Does that answer your question, Casey?
really relate to that because uh, all of us, everyone, is even the white folks. We all are colonized into this white Western American world we live in. Yeah, we don't even realize it. We think we are so unique. When we go overseas and we meet people and they can't understand why we're so arrogant. Yeah, so, but it's good. I know it's even for me to think that I'm coming up with different ideas. I do my contextual ministry within a framework of of colonialism. It's like I'm in this fish tank, a fishbowl. I live in this fishbowl of colonialism, but I'm trying to live out a contextual way of doing ministry to Native folks. But I'm always surrounded, and my mind has been influenced by colonialism and that's trauma I live with too. I will never have that pure sense of being a Native person because of all of the tragedy and trauma that Native people have gone through the last 400 years. Yeah, it's just part of our world. It's just something that just should never have happened. We should have been able to live out our Native ways purely as much as we could by adapting as much as we could to the white Western, push of, settlers coming across. But it just did not happen. It was not healthy. So I just wanted to share that. But we do have we have a hand up there.
Yeah, Helen, go ahead.
Well, it's up, but if you want to continue, I can wait. You seem to be on a roll, Casey.
I can preach on it. So, yeah, but I know what we're talking about here. All of us, we all live in some transition of the white world that we live in. And then the white people are living in a transition of trying to understand the Native world that we're in. Because there's something about the Native world that people are drawn to, and I believe it is because we have something in us that is still a connection to the earth and the way things should be, of Nmino-Bimaadiziwin that he's talked about. It's that way of life that is still part of us, and the white Western world is just not a part of that world. The world that we know in our hearts, we're adapting to live in that world. It pulls us out of a natural way that we want to be, and it is so individualistic. When my whole life and world has always been my collective of my family. If somebody passed away, that family would get meals directly to their house, so nobody would have to cook. But it doesn't happen these days. If somebody passes, they cater something, but there's a personal touch to being and living in a Native collective world. And but I don't want to go on too much. You start asking me questions. So let's give it to BJ.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Okay. I was thinking about when you started, you talked about the meaning of respect and kind of the Western meaning being submission to authority. And I think that's true. In a lot of cases, that's exactly what people expect. But I know because I am a word nerd, I'm an English teacher, I had to go and look it up, and I found, okay, and it goes back to like spectator of looking at and looking back. And I know I've taught my students, I teach students who are learning English as a second language. I've told them that respect, in simple words, is to see the good in others, that if you see the good in others, you treat them well, that other things will follow. And I think that works in our classroom. And I think it certainly works here. But I think once we leave that classroom, we're going back into that other form of respect. And it doesn't take very long before they can encounter people who will belittle them or dehumanize them with comments about their skin, about their accents, about anything. And I'm glad that we have safe spaces like this and that we have that influence in the world. But I'm always amazed by the reality of it. that, and when I try to dialogue with people, even peaceably, I feel like I'm dialoguing with a broken record that's just going to keep repeating the same things about cancel culture and replacement theory. And oh, I'm seeing in the things some people feeling some pain and some joy and stuff. Yeah, but I'm glad that we're here. I think we don't have to give up, but I can see how overwhelming it is. And even as white as I am, I feel it. And so I guess I was commenting on that, I comment that not in competition with anybody in what you're experiencing, but just to say that for me, it helps to know that I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who's facing something. So I thought if I shared it, maybe that would make others feel less alone. So that's about it.
In some ways, I'm a bit of a word nerd myself, as with like the whole respect thing. The alternate definition you gave was looking back, and I'd say that's a very native thing, because we look back 7 generations for that wisdom, and that why do we do that? We do that out of respect. One of the ways I'm experiencing this with my family right now, we're actually hosting an exchange student over here for the school year from Italy. And some of the words that translate from English into Italian are so similar. In other words, completely different. But we're having a great time exchanging words back and forth and sharing language and culture. And we're really a lot more alike than you might think, across different cultural boundaries. And that if you just take the minute to have a conversation with them and learn from them, we're so similar.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too, that even my students who come from Europe, I would expect that they would be as Western as Americans, and yet they seem to be less materialistic, less individualistic, and often still horrified at Americans. And I think they have the culture where there's the hunger for those things, but they had the constraints. They didn't have a whole continent of land. They had to learn how to make do and how to share. And they're often horrified at the excesses. And I wonder, maybe your student too. I remember we had a student from Spain, and his family had encouraged him to go shopping for clothes, and so I went with him because his mother said to find a female college student to help him pick things that would look nice. And so I was the chosen one, but everything I showed him, well, they have sweaters on sale. He said, I have a sweater. And I was a sweater. And that was enough. And he thought, well, how many sweaters do you need? I think his idea was if you have more than one sweater, you must be in a very cold climate where you need to wear them both at the same time. And other things, I already have all this. Why am I here? It's like, well, your mom said to do it. But I said, if you don't see the point, we don't have to do this. If you have everything you need, then you're satisfied. And he was. So I hope you continue to have a lot of good, eye-opening conversations and experiences with the exchange student.
Yep, we're looking forward to it. We have until the end of May, so. Anyone else?
I'll lighten it up a little bit here. Maybe it'll get another topic going, I don't know. But someone asked, do you Indians celebrate Independence Day? I says, no. Our oppressors, our colonizers are still here. Yeah. We still live under there.
I'll say something.
Yep, we got one in house.
Hi, I'm Christy. I just wanted to say I appreciate what you said about balance and seeking balance in the new year. That just affirms what I'm trying to do, and really looking at my values and how I reflect those out to others, as well as how I take care of myself. And I know that self-care is not such a native thing, but in a way I feel like, the balance of, giving to the church and giving of your time, your talents, your treasures, that's one part of it. But I also feel like as we live in community with others, there has to be a balance. It can't be just all give or all take. I feel like there has to be, kind of an equality type of feeling to that community. Like the wonderful community you described. That sounds like an awesome place. But unfortunately, some people are ready for that type of existence and some are not. So what would you say to those people that are still kind of searching for that? Or do you have any other advice about balance?
Balance is a bit of an art form. There's no black and white easy way to define it, and for every person, it's something different. And sometimes it takes you a whole lifetime to figure out that balance. And just because you're balanced in one way might mean that you're out of balance in another. If you have your daily schedule thing figured out with balance, great. What about your relationships with other people? Oh, that's way out of balance. Okay, well, work on that. Work on them one at a time. Work on them a little bit each time. Work your way through it. Figure out what works. Listen to your heart. Listen to the land around you, your environment, the people around you. You'll know when something is out of whack. You'll know when you need to spend time on different areas.
Thank you.
Go ahead and hit it, Doctor.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, BJ, for what you had to share tonight. It was very timely and I feel like it fit in with a lot of our walks with Creator. So I want to thank you for that. But yeah, it was just I was saying a little earlier that I think it's really great how Good Medicine Way has like this. Um, it's not a set way to walk, I suppose. It's something that we can just walk with the spirit and follow the spirit. And all these messages are anointed. They're meant to be heard at this certain time. And so I want to thank you for contributing to that. But um there's been a lot of topics that we've talked about so far, about having to like push down or like sugarcoat or like our traditional ways in a way. And I was thinking about the question that you posed, BJ. Like how do each of us walk in balance, with Creator, with our relatives that are not of our skin, but maybe of fur, and maybe of gills. um, but I was just thinking a little bit earlier because you were talking about you took an excerpt from the Ecclesi,
Ecclesiastes.
yeah, Ecclesiastes, sorry. And I was thinking about the time for everything there, the time for this, time for that, time for all this, right? And it was kind of funny because last night I was thinking about what I was wanting to share for the prayer. And so I wrote this thing that if you all wouldn't mind, I'd like to share with you. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So this kind of rhymes and it sounds kind of funny with the rhyming, so forgive me. It may sound a little cheesy, but I wrote, thank you for the season of the snow, for the swift and brisk uh, of cold air's blow. Thank you for this reminder to take things slow. We thank you for the time to spend together for a moment in this chilly weather, where the elements blend so nicely together. A western wind or a westward wind of an eastern flow. In this new year, we ask for Creator's favor for healing upon the land to make all things new in the next coming change of seasons. Calling upon the visions you have given the people. Thank you for this time of rest, of creative thinking. Thank you for this time to mend, to repair, and prepare for the time of awakening and renewal. May this time be used in a transformative and renewing experience. And so, like when you were talking about time, certain times for things, and the way that we're in this timing right now, being here together at Good Medicine Way. and learning from BJ. But like yeah, I was just thinking about it. Timing, that's how we walk with each other. That's how we walk in balance. We can move as fast as we want. We can move as slow as we want. And it is really important to, look outside of the individual and to look to the others to see the bigger picture. And I feel like this message tonight has really spoken to what I've been going through lately. And I do want to thank you again for the reminder. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. And yeah, so yeah, I just want to thank you, BJ. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm next, right? I'm Nikki. Thanks for speaking today, BJ. It was very wonderful just lesson, I guess. I've heard of like the seven grandfathers before. Um, but I don't know. I don't think I learned about them super in depth. Or like so it was just really interesting to like learn about it. And um as for like kind of like walking in balance and staying in balance, I think um what like Upataka was saying, she was saying like that was just kind of like um about timing. And I want to add that with balance, like, it's also just kind of taking a step back um and just looking at the bigger picture. And with natives, we carry like stories with us, not just like our story, but like our families, our ancestors, and that's important to us. And it's something that's just ingrained in our DNA, like storytelling. I think that's probably one of like the special things about natives is like our ability for storytelling and how sacred stories are. I'm not saying that stories aren't sacred in other cultures, but I think we do keep like the tradition of like oral storytelling with these types of like lessons embedded in them. And sometimes like, since oral tradition, sometimes the stories vary. And so it's interesting to listen to like, a relative's version of like the same story. Um, and I was thinking back to my auntie who was visited Europe, and she was talking about, because I think she went to Italy, but she said that the like Italian people were just really like really, really just like I guess amazed by like native culture a little bit, really interested in it, just because there's a lot of things that they like resonated with. I think one of the things was like the how far we can trace back our history just from like just from the storytelling. And like it's the same thing with Italians, as what my auntie was saying. She was told that like like all these like people that live in Italy, like they've lived there for so long and their families like live there, and like and it's just something like they know each other, they know where they come from, and it's just with America, it's a bit like different where we're like, like nowadays we don't talk to our neighbors, or, very individual, very like me, and trying to take everything with, I think that just comes with capitalism though. That's not unique to America, but anyway, like I don't know. I just have like I've been thinking a lot about a lot of things, and I haven't been to Italy, but I've been to Korea, and it was the same thing where like I had to kind of explain to them like what indigenous or like Native American was. Like for some, like it depended on the age range, but like I think if they went to college and university, like from my understanding, what my friend told me, she said that a lot of university students will read like are required to read this one book about an indigenous man. And I don't know like what tribe he was from, but like she ever since she read that book, she was just really interested in like about learning about Native culture. And she said that the one thing that she really like resonated with like with Native Americans was like, we never take more than what we need, and we leave some for like everyone else. And she said that like there's like a stereotype about Americans in South Korea where like where it's when I went there, they're like, oh, make sure you finish all your food. You don't want to waste like a bunch of food like Americans or and they're like, it's just like all in good fun, but I was just like, oh, and they're just like, joking around. It's just like they're like, yeah, I mean, Korea used to be really poor, so it's just like, kind of bad to like waste food. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. I think with natives, it's kind of the same thing where we can't waste food, and we try to use it for other things too if we can't like eat it. But yeah, like that's where my train of thought ends. So thank you.
Sure, no problem. And we use humor a lot in native circles, and that if you'd like, I can share some here. Casey started this with me, got me thinking about something here. Um, so we share these within native circles, and that for people that understand where the joke is coming from. But it's also I like using it for education. So I'll give you the top 10 things that we as Native Americans can say to a white person upon first meeting a white person. So number 10 is, so how much white are you? Because they always ask us, oh, you're native. You don't look native. How much native are you? Well, you can say, well, how much white are you? The number 9 is, you can follow that up with saying, I'm part white myself also. Number 8 is, I learned all of your people's ways in the Boy Scouts. Number 7 is, my great great grandmother was a full-blooded white American princess. I know. They just get better after this. Number 6 is, funny, you don't look white. And if that doesn't work, you can always follow it up with, and this is getting back to old colonial times, where's your powdered wig and knickers? And then for other people that are living out west, like you guys, where's your, excuse me, do you live in a covered wagon? And I think Casey had used this when we were in Dallas. People asked about, well, what was the meaning of, like, I think it was the circle dance we were doing, and Casey says something like, well, you tell me what's the meaning behind the square dance, I'll tell you the meaning behind the circle dance. Number 2 is, what's your feeling about riverboat casinos? Do they really help your people, or are they just a short-term fix? And that's a reference to us having casinos. And then the number 1 thing you can say to a white person upon first meeting one, hey, can I take your picture? We get that in native circles, but I mean, there's teaching moments in that though, because people use that with us all the time. I mean, we can put it right back to them, make them go, what? That's how it sounds like to us. Next question.
And could I just add, brother, that if we can always remember that so much of the time it comes at, we think so dual, white, red, this, that, this, red. We have to remember my message that Creator keeps telling me to remind everybody of, we are spirit first. We are spirit first. And that's why we pray for grace to have that with one another. So that, because many people are ignorant because they had no choice, because of relatively how they were raised, what they went through, what I went through, that this other white person went through, what I went through as trailer trash, that my other white friends didn't go through. Things are relative. So help us to always remember in our discussions to remember to look at Creator first. Remember our first love. Remember our first love. And as long as we look at it from the world perspective, we're only going to see it so far. But just always remember to pray and ask Creator to help us and to speak for us and to help us move as spirit, because that's the only way we're going to be able to make it all together into this as the baby is delivered. And it's painful and it's transition. And the pains are hard right now for everybody and fierce. But just remembering to come back and keep our eyes on Creator. And I can only say that because I've strayed myself. Anything I ever say is that I'm saying it to myself first. So, and I say it in love, but I say it always for us to remember that we're spirit first. Try to always remember spirit first and look to Creator to help us to have these conversations with one another. And that's my soapbox.
That's kind of what I said before, we're not of this world. Okay, who's next?
I really appreciate what you shared about the 7 sacred teachings. I especially liked how you ended it with wisdom, and how wisdom is really about thinking about the 7 generations that you honor that came before you and the 7 generations to come. And my grandma always used to say, the 7 sacred teachings that you carry within you. And I think, a lot of times, if we started with those values, the conversations we had would always be much better, Like if we met and we always had to be grateful for everything, like from the water to the stars to everything, and then remember the 7 sacred teachings before we ever had any important conversations. All of our conversations would be so good. Maybe. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking about time because I think time is a construct. And this part of the scripture that you've chosen is about time. And you also talked about the pendulum and the illusion of the construct of time involves the pendulum, And I think it's interesting because if you really try to be in relationship with God, you really understand that all time is his time. But that really just means you'll never understand. And so it's kind of like that old saying, ignorance is bliss. And you kind of just have to be grateful that you're always going to be super ignorant of God's timing. But that's kind of not how it feels, And that kind of reminds me of being a child. And how the Bible also says you have to stay like a child to get to the other side. And that's kind of like being between the two worlds, But it's like being like a child is also knowing that you'll never understand God's timing. And you'll always be humbled by his grace and mercy. And that's really what wisdom is like. So thank you for sharing that because that makes every conversation so much better.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Hidaka.
All right, I was just gonna say off of those jokes that you were sharing, you must have had that old Indian joke book from back in the day, that one that was yellow, eh? My favorite one was a band of Ojibways were heading to Denver. They saw a sign that said Denver left, so they turned around and went home. Yeah, yeah, all in good fun. But thank you. That was good. Thank you for that one.
Thank you for that one.
Okay, Helen.
I was remembering when you were reading off those top 10 lines, things people would say to me. I spent some time in Japan teaching English. And in Japan, most people don't have beds. They have futons they put on the floor, then they dry them out, and then they put them away so that they have that space as living space during the day. And the foreigners, or as they call it, the white people and foreigners to them seem to be the same. They were really good. When we were drying things, they said, we keep dropping them in the streets and they fall on people's cars and they disrupt traffic. And I remember some very frustrated students told me, will you please tell all the white people to be more careful when they're hanging the futons? And because it's really getting to be annoying. We can't get to work on time, somebody dropped another futon in the street. And I remember thinking, well, now how is this going to work? I don't know all the white people. And I told him something like, well, we don't all meet in a bat cave every week. I don't know where to find all the white people, but I can tell ones I know. But I remember thinking, this must be what Black people and other people at home go through, and thinking that you all know each other, you're all doing the same thing. And I never dropped mine once, I'm proud to say. I don't brag about everything, but I never messed up other people's lives with that. But I remember being really amused, and I didn't experience enough of that to really feel marginalized, but enough that it kind of opened my eyes. Okay, this is some of the assumptions. And another thing they would say to me is like, why do you have a gun? And like, what? I don't have a gun. And they said, well, you're from America. Of course you have a gun. And they'd say, and I said, well, why do you think so? Well, we saw Charlie's Angels, so we know that women have guns. And like, oh no, you think all American women have guns? No, that is not true. But those are the images that we send out. So I'm very glad for people who are putting out different images and putting forth other ways of doing things, because we've got a lot as a nation. Yeah. Thank you, Embedded-Doc. Yeah, we've got a lot to overcome. So that's all.
Yeah, and there's a lot of generalities about that. You talk about, Black people, they get similar comments. The words are different, but it's a similar thing. We all kind of get that from different cultures and that. So that's why I said before, we're all more alike than you think. Just try to understand it from somebody else's perspective. So, thank you.
All right, go ahead, Kat.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, BJ. That was, yeah, it was really, really good talk. And getting back to what you said about respect, a way to understand respect as going easy on other people, on animals, on the earth, the community life, like that was really, really helpful to me. Like as Helen commented and what you said, like I think in this white Western culture, we tend to think of respect sometimes like, too much in terms of like deference to authority and like, yes, show respect. And, deeper than that, I think that my concept of respect is, and probably most of us, it's not just that. It does have, some heartfelt quality to it, but what you added a lot to my, just really fleshed out my understanding, and going easy on others as a component of respect. Like to me, that encapsulates like mercy. Like going easy on others is a merciful thing to do. I am so grateful for the ways in which others have gone easy on me and shown me mercy. And yeah, I don't know exactly how to articulate it, but I think it just helped for me, the way you explained it, helped me drop the concept of respect more into the heart. And when I go back to work in a couple of days in the office, like I can see that already like shifting, just like, yes, respect my coworkers, go easy on them. I mean, I'm not like cracking a whip on them or anything. I mean, it's not like I'm not a supervisor of anyone, but whatever, just like other people around, like show them mercy. God shows mercy to us. Don't take more than you need, like you said. Yeah, a little hard to articulate, but like I said, there's something really like deep there for me. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Number to add to your list there is that a person asked me, he says, do you Indians, do you still eat buffalo? I said, yes, we do, but only the wings. And one last one I'll share. I haven't shared this with hardly anybody, but what if you were traveling across the prairie and you seen a sign like this?
Oh. Oh.
It's a warning sign, you know?
Uh-huh. Indians,
Yeah.
Indian territory.
There should
That-
have been more of those posted.
Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, that's what you're going to expect when you get into Kansas or something. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know? But,
That's cute.
funny, it isn't really funny, but I was really harassed in the Marine Corps, and this was my nickname that many of the guys from the Midwest or the Plains that came to the Marine Corps, my nickname was Wagon Burner.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, not a very good name, but that's what these guys called me until I beat them up. No, I couldn't beat them up. I was the smallest guy in the whole platoon.
All right, Nikki, you got another one?
But I just want to say that the like the little sign that Casey showed with like the carriage, it reminded me of like an old story that my grandpa like told me or told my dad, and my dad told me like about like my dad was trying to figure out when this happened because my grandpa he talked about the story when he was young, and my grandpa he was saying that like him and his family used to travel a lot, and like they would be in the back of like a wagon, like one of those like carriage wagons, and my dad's like, oh my God, like he was trying to figure out, he's like, when was that, like how old, or like and but yeah, my grandpa used to like travel with my great grandpa and great grandpa, like his parents, um to like the city to trade, and like my grandpa he knew how to speak Spanish, 'cause I live in New Mexico, so we like traded a lot with the Spanish, but yeah, my grandpa was fluent in Spanish and English and Navajo, so yeah, like he just talked about a lot like of the traveling that he did on the wagon, and like I don't know why, like it just it cracks me up. My dad's like, I could like it freaked me out, like he's like, I don't know how old, like, or like he's like, what time was this, wow.
I got a whole list of them, VJ, and another one I can throw your way is Indian talking to a white guy. Can I touch your facial hair? Yeah, because when I had my ponytail and my son, yeah, people come up to us and they say, can I touch your ponytail? Can I touch your hair? I never let that happen because you have so many weirdos out there, they think they're taking your spirit. They're taking your energy when they do that. Yeah, you never let anybody touch your hair.
That explains our fascination with the facial hair now. Just kidding.
And another one, I guess I could go on a whole list of these. I've heard so many. I said, do you Indians, you still scalp white people? And he said, no, we don't do that anymore. We just wait long enough, they'll go bald. No, not kidding. I didn't say that for your account. Shall I go on? No, I better stop.
I didn't realize that's what your doctorate was in, Casey.
I learned this in school too. Yeah.
He's got like native jokes and dad jokes like melded together.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's his two clouds.
Yeah.
So I got two boys in my church. They're my kids. They're 13 and 10. And I said, what's worse than dad jokes? Pastor dad jokes.
Right. Well, there are other teachings that I could probably bring here in I do have a couple of books that have the teachings in it, and I could write them up and then have them for you so that you could see them and share them, and maybe we could get Nikki to make it a nice, pretty, or we can get Ken to do some graphics on it to make it really nice. Really get the words out there, and you have those, with you, share and remind yourself of the teachings, because one of the teachings also is in the Christian way is that the fruits of the Spirit go right along with many of those. And for Native people, it was very easy for us to see many of the Christian teachings because they parallel so many of the Native ways. But the way they lived them out among us just didn't match. Don't steal, what do they do? Steal. Don't kill, what do they do? Kill. It goes right on down the line. Yeah, respect, they don't respect. It's like, but how do you live in a world that is changing that way, and then try to make some adjustments in your life to fit. All right. Very good. BJ? Unless we got any else, you always say?
Last call.
Last call. We ought to flick the lights on and off. Yeah, I don't think anybody would know what that means, right?
I do. Get in
All
here.
right.
Get in here now.
Pedagoga, you better, naughty. We're gonna have to have a talk.
Lights. Has anybody seen Stranger Things? Because they're flicking those Christmas lights meant that somebody's in the upside down.
Yeah. All right. Very good. BJ, it was great having you. We'll have you back again. Yeah. Everybody seemed to like your teaching there, and you really go along with a lot of things that we're thinking about here. So yeah, put together something. We'll ask you in a couple of months here to come on back.
I know it's a little bit short of the 50 minutes that you requested, but
No, you're right on track.
Okay.
20 to
With
25.
questions.
20 to 25. Yeah. I tell people, I says, people, if you don't know your topic very well, it takes you a lot of words to say it. That's why they go on for hours. But so people that know their topic can say it concisely in a shorter time.
True.
Yeah, so you did well. Yeah. Let's give them a wave there. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, thank you. We'll go on to our closing round dance.
Yeah.
And then Heaven will do our closing send-off.
Way-ah-eh-oh, eh-ah-eh.
Papa, we give you thanks, and we give you all of our mind, body, spirit, and soul. We acknowledge the word and the truth. We know all time is created by you and is suspended within a sacred hoop. May each and every step within our dance honor you. Walk with us through the swinging pendulum, through birth and death, through planting and harvest, through joy and mourning, through unrest and peace. We honor you as our timekeeper, our warrior, our champion in times of war and peace, banishing the darkness with light. We are made humble by the bounty of your provision. You have made everything beautiful in its time. You have planted eternal life and endless hope in our human hearts. I am grateful no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. We give you thanks for the work, the toil, the loss, the gain, and the reward of resurrection to eternal life made possible through your Son. The gifts of God are limitless. They endure forever. Nothing can be added to or taken from this. God is our loving Father who intentionally teaches us respect for dust and breath alike. Teach us, Papa, to search for the fruits of the Spirit in others, to recognize their unmeasurable worth. Teach us to cultivate love for all of your children, for no one is without redeeming value. Let the good in me connect with the good in others until the world is transformed through the compelling power of Christ's love. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen and aho.
Well, thank you all. Remember, tomorrow night we'll be doing this. And one of the things to know about this book is they go through the 10 indigenous values. And the book is kind of made on that theme. So we start tomorrow night at 6:30. Just go to the Facebook page, and Brian will set up a link so that you can go right to a Zoom. So come and join us. If you haven't got the book, just join us anyways and here. Maybe I could post maybe like the first couple pages, and then if you'd like them. And so that's it. Thank you all. Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Let's all work on getting rid of those holiday pounds now. All right. Good night, everyone.
All right, blessings to you all.
All right. Bye, everyone. Love you all.
Thank you.